All right, Mass Movie Mavens, it's Chris Palermo here. Chuck Slavin, not around, on the set, on the phone with me, finally. Jay Giannone, we finally met a few months ago, and we finally get to speak. It's too bad you're not in the studio, but welcome, finally, to the Mass Movie Mavens.
Hey, it's great to be here, and too bad Chuck Slavin wasn't Italian, because we'd let him be here with us. But it's okay, I still love Chuck. He's my boy. You know, I think he's half Italian, so he's not half bad. You know, he's a good guy.
You know, speaking of that, Jay, okay, now you're from the mean streets of Southie. What's a good Italian boy doing from Southie?
Oh, boy. I don't know. I think my mother stopped over here to get a bottle of whiskey, and we never went back to the North End.
I think my family stopped to get the cannoli, so, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Whiskey and cannoli, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, no, you know, honestly, I grew up in the Old Harbor Projects. You know, I was basically, you know, just a regular kid, and you know, we had some unfortunate things happen in my family. My dad died when we were very young, and you know, South Boston and the projects is basically a sanctuary to us, and a place where, you know, we had to go, and a place to live because of some unfortunate circumstances in our lives, you know. And it wasn't a bad pit stop in my life. It's a beautiful place and a great town, and I've enjoyed growing up here.
And I'm going to just go on a limb here and just suggest that, you know, growing up with that hardship and you know, all the things you've kind of encountered, you've certainly kind of let these things show in the characters you've played on the screen.
Absolutely. You know, I have places to pull from, a lot of pain, a lot of joy, a lot of, you know, different experiences in life that I can use to my advantage as an actor, you know.
And I'll tell you, it comes through. I saw, I keep on saying "real men cry," but what doesn't kill you? And your character was actually kind of funny. Maybe I have a sick, twisted kind of sense of humor, but I just thought you were kind of funny. You know, it was really a sad character, but actually the way you performed it was really kind of funny.
Yeah, no, you know, a lot of people get that. I mean, I've gotten that from quite a few people. You know, I have a 9-year-old son. He thinks it's hilarious. You know? And some people do think it's funny because my character is like this guy that sets up these drug dealers, a fight breaks out, and he runs away. Like, that is funny. And just like some of the things that I say and the way I go about things does kind of come off a bit funny. And, you know, it's not funny to see a guy strung out on drugs, but I think just the way that, you know, that character was written from Brian, it wasn't a tough guy. It was more or less like maybe like a little bit of some comic relief in the middle of a movie that was really a tough movie and a hardcore movie. You didn't really get a lot of comedy in that movie. It was a very serious story, you know, and it kind of hit you in the heart. So anytime you seen somebody offbeat doing something, it would kind of loosen you up a little bit from what was going on in the film, you know, because it was a very tough story. And you know, I'm glad you got a little laugh out of it, because I sure did too. So yeah, I think Brian might have been aiming for that a little bit, you know.
That's a good point. And actually, in a weird way, it actually made it seem even more real, because we know someone like that who's going to do some shit and just take off.
Absolutely, man. There's a guy like that in every town, you know. Somebody who's using drugs and trying to get ahead and trying to get in with the popular guys, and, you know, shit hits the fan and he realizes he's really not one of them, and he takes off and goes in another direction. And you know, that's just art emulating life, you know. And honestly, I feel privileged to have been able to play that character, because you know, I was playing down, and in real life I'm more of, you know, I think a little bit more of an intense type of guy. I wouldn't run away from something. I'd stand my ground. And you know, to be able to play that character and play a crackhead who, you know, is junked out and a little confused and screwed up on drugs, I think it was a little bit of a challenge also to be able to pull it off. And you know, I had a good time doing it, actually. It was really cool. You know, I really felt privileged to be able to play that role. I mean, any role that I ever get a chance to do, to me, acting is a privilege, you know. It's something I enjoy doing and love, and, you know, definitely could appreciate Brian giving me the chance to do that, you know.
Yeah, he did a lot for a lot of actors. We're gonna go forward a little bit, talk about what you got coming up, but let's go even deeper back. You are in probably my favorite scene in The Departed. The body comes down off the roof. give us, kind of relay to us the info, what it was like on the set that day. You were the four cops coming out with the big shoot 'em up, bang 'em up. What was that scene like to shoot Jay?
Oh man, it was an amazing day, working with Marty, with Scorsese, and he comes around to the car and he says, yeah, "Good energy, kid, good energy." He's got the hands moving. He's very Italian, and we had Leonardo on set that day. We had Martin Sheen on set that day. We had a lot of other really good actors and cool guys on there. And believe it or not, we shot that scene. This is no lie. We did the reverse of that scene in New York City. So, the gunfights and everything. So we shot a piece of it in Boston and a piece of it in New York City, which I was very grateful for, because I ended up having 35 days on the movie.
Wow.
35 SAG days on the movie. That was a lot of money for me.
That's
that benefited my family. And it was an amazing experience because I had 35 days on a film working and hanging around the big boys and, learning a lot, And, that particular day, a lot of guns shooting off and, from what I can remember, it was an overwhelming, day, that particular day that we did that actual scene when Martin's body comes off the roof. They used a dummy, they dressed the dummy up, they made it the same weight basically that he would be, and to make it look really real as if he was coming off of the building and everything. And, Marty was really cool, a lot of times he uses Joe, his first AD, to come over and talk to the actors and ask them to give him what he needs, but, I originally was sitting in the back seat, I'm like the young kid. And
right.
I get in the car, a lot of the guys, they took their own spots and positions and where they wanted to be. So I kind of sat in the back on the left, and Marty came over and he said, put the kid up the front. They were like, huh? He said, you jump out, you get in the back, I want the kid in the front. Bang, he had me come out of the car, he put me right up in the front seat, so when the shot, the scene opened up, the first shot of the car driving into the parking lot was my face and me, a close-up on the screen, right on the, sitting up in the front seat. And that was amazing to me because I wasn't complaining about being in the back seat. I was really just happy to be there. Yeah, I was
Be
happy
in the
to
same
be there.
area code, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Marty just said, hey, I want Jay up in the front seat. And so that was cool. And then he was just like, give me a lot of energy, and, you guys are doing great. And it seemed like a real simple scene, but 35 days we shot that scene for. That was the most money I ever made in my life in the shortest amount of time I've ever been on screen.
Isn't that something? And I gotta say about that scene, okay, and being a voice guy and, I study accents, that probably was one of the few scenes where the accent sounded the most authentic in that, because you guys are all real guys, right?
Absolutely. Two of the guys were from New York, and Billy Smith in the back seat was actually from Hyde Park, West Roxbury, so he had it down. But those two guys being able to hang out with us and sit there while they're setting up a camera shot for 2-3 hours, they were really getting it down quick. Yeah, more jokes and more funny shit said in that car. I don't even want to say on the line here, but I thought the rest of the cast did pretty good with the accent. My biggest job on that film was being a consultant to Leonardo DiCaprio.
Wow.
And working with Leo for 2 months and training him on the accent, basically. So I would jump on a plane with him in Los Angeles, go to New York, go to Giselle's house, work all week with him on the accent, and I would rewrite some of the dialogue in there for him to make it sound more authentic. And we would work on that. We worked on that for 8 weeks, rehearsing and training and in the gym and going back and forth to Southie and taking him around the neighborhood low-key and doing things. And that was a big deal to me, too. And just, when I met Marty and Leo took me to Marty, and he said, hey, look, Jay's a real kid from the neighborhood. He has a lot of connections in the neighborhood. He knows people. He's been working with me in the accent and everything. Marty, at that point, was like, are you an actor? And I said, yeah. And he said, this is over coffee at the Parker Meridian in New York. Marty had his production office up in there. And, he cleared the room out for us to just sit there and talk about, the neighborhood and what's real and everything. And we sat for 2 or 3 hours, and just talked and reminisced about the neighborhood. And he told me about Goodfellas and some of the tricks of the trade. And, at the end of the day, when Leo was doing the accent with him, he was like, wow, you really got it down good. So Marty took a look at my acting reel by then. And he said, I liked your acting reel, Jay. He said, you're a really fine actor. He said, I think I'm going to find something, I'm going to write you into the film. And he wrote me in as Detective Full and put me in the police car and put me up in the front. Wow. So that's how I got in the film. I didn't audition for anything. There was originally only 3 detectives. And what he did is he created a spot for me and put me in there. And I was really grateful for that, because I really wanted to be in the movie.